Now what we need to do is we need to get our clock to show the current time and not just some random time. So we're going to get JavaScript to tell us what time it is, and we're going to rely on the date object to do that. The date object is a built-in object that represents a specific point in time, and it allows us to work with dates and times, and we can do all sorts of stuff in regards to formatting, calculating time intervals, performing arithmetic operations on dates, and a bunch of other stuff. So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and let's just get rid of this console log. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create a new variable, and we'll just call this date, and we're going to make it equal to a new date object. And just to remind us what the date looks like, let's just console log out the date. If we go ahead and refresh this, you can see that it's telling me today's date and today's time. So it's collecting all of that information. This currently is the date that's being pulled off of the browser, so it depends on where you are and what kind of date you'll get. By default, it's going to show me Pacific Standard Time, but if you're in a different location, the date may be different for you. The date object on its own is not super useful, but the good news is that we can pull pretty much whatever information we want out of the date object using methods. So for instance, if I just wanted the hours, I could put date.getHours, and if we refresh in the browser, you're going to see that it just gives me the hour. And this is on a 24-hour period, so my time currently is 5 p.m., and it's giving me 17. What we'll do next is we'll go ahead and create some additional variables. I'm going to make a variable called HR, and I'm going to make this equal to date.getHours. And we'll do the same thing for minutes and seconds. And just so that you can see what's going on, once again, I'm going to console log this, and let's go ahead and concatenate some text in with the results. So we'll put hour, which is a string of text, and then we'll add in our hour variable that we just created. And we'll go ahead and add in the minute text. I'm going to show my minute variable, and then finally we'll do the same thing with seconds. If we save this now and we refresh, you'll see that it tells me the hour, the minutes, and the seconds, so it's getting all of the necessary information that we need. And every time I refresh the screen, those values are going to update based on the new time values. And what I'm going to do here, just because this makes a little bit more sense, is I'm just going to cut the code that we had made earlier and just put this down here. And at this point, we don't really need this console.log. I'll just comment that out. Now that we have this information, we're going to need to use some math so we can actually figure out what the current time is. We're going to need to convert the date information that's being generated here into the correct degrees on a circle so that the arms are positioned correctly to show the current time. And in order to do that, we're going to need to use a little bit of math. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to divide up the clock face into the correct number of sections. Because the second arm splits the clock face into 60 components, there are 60 seconds in 1 minute, so it's going to take 60 steps to go around the circle. And that means we need to take 360 degrees and divide it by 60, and then we need to add up how many seconds or how many segments that we want the second hand to actually move. And then the same thing's going to happen for the minute hand, but there are only 60 minutes in an hour. And then we're going to do the same thing for the hour hand, but we're going to divide the clock face into 12 because there's 12 hours on our clock face. So what I need to do is I need to grab the values of hour, min, and sec, these values that we just got right here, and we need to convert them to degrees. And then we're going to place those degrees inside our hour pause, min pause, and sec pause. And then we can go ahead and do the correct structure. Let's start off with seconds. And this is the easiest one because we know right now the number of seconds in the current minute. And then what I need to do is I need to take 60 seconds that could be along our clock face, and I need to divide those by 360 degrees. So we get how many degrees are covered by 1 second. And then we can multiply those degrees by second. So let's say that there's 5 seconds. we have 5 segments. That means multiply by 360 over 60. And we can test this right away by simply saving our code and trying it out. So let's go ahead and let's grab our let position for seconds. I'm just going to cut this and we'll put it down here. And we don't want it to be a fixed value. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it equal to the current value of second. So it's going to get the seconds. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply that by 360 divided by 60. Let's go ahead and let's just console log our sec position so we can check it out. And we'll go ahead and we'll refresh the page. And you can see what's happening right here. And oh, it looks like so right here, I'm getting an uncaught reference. It can't access sec positions before initialization. And the reason that I'm getting this error is because this is trying to run before I've actually set my sec position. So this is just a result of us not having this in the right order. So let me just cut that and we'll move this stuff down below. And let's just save our page and try again. And now you can see that the second position is at 66. So 66 little ticks of 360 ticks, basically. So if we refresh this again, you can see this moves. Now it's at 210, and then this is moved to that location. So if I keep refreshing, we're going to get closer to, 12. I'll just do this a few more times. And you can see how the second hand is now moving. So now we're at 300. And now if we do it maybe one more time, we should get real close to starting over. So that's 348. And now it starts at 12. So you can see that this is working. It's moving the second hand and it's associating it with wherever the current seconds is. And then we're just performing this math on this particular element. So now let's go ahead and let's do the same sort of thing with our minutes. I'll grab my let min position and we'll go ahead and cut that down here. And then we're going to want to get rid of this right here. So for minutes, we're going to get the value of minutes. And then here we have to do two things. We'll do the simple part first. What I need to do is the exact same thing for minutes as I did with seconds. So I'm going to grab that minute element. That's the current number of minutes in an hour. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply that by 360 divided by 60. And that's going to give us the minute position. So let's go ahead and let's give this a try. And we'll just console log so we can see what's happening. If we go ahead and save and we refresh, you can see that the second hand's moving and now the minute hand is moving too. And that should be the right time. It's at 25, which is, at 150 because of course we're doing our math right here. So if we took 25 and we multiplied it by 360 divided by 60, that's going to give us the correct value of 25. And if we refresh again, you can see that the value is now changing. So it's now moving to 26 minutes. And this is the math that's happening right there. And what I'm going to do in order to make this clock a little bit fancier is we're going to change the minute position a little bit, where we're going to allow the minute arm to very slowly move as the second arm spins, meaning that the minute arm is going to move along with the second arm. So for every full minute, the arm is going to incrementally move the length of 1 minute. And this is going to eliminate any sort of weird popping action between the minutes. So to do this, what we need to do is we need to take the current minute degrees, we need to add them to the number of seconds that are added to the clock. But instead of just dividing by 60, which is the complete clock face, we have to divide this one piece into 60 increments. So what we'll do is we'll wrap this part of the equation in parentheses so that this part of the equation is going to occur. I'm going to add that, and then we're going to say sec times, and then in parentheses, we'll do 360 divided by 60, and I'm going to have that occur first, and then I'm going to divide that by 60 again, and we'll close our parentheses. So if we save this and we refresh, you're not going to see much yet because we're not moving this second hand, but we're going to do that shortly. So this is going to just add a little bit of a smoother type of movement. And you can see we're getting degrees. So instead of just popping to an exact whole number, now it's giving us the exact location. This is just going to make our clock little bit more precise, which will be kind of nice. So finally, what we have to do is we're going to do our hour position. So let's grab hours up here. Let me just tidy up my code a little bit and comment right here. And what we'll do is we'll paste in our hour position. And in regards to the math, we're going to take the value of hour from above. We're going to go ahead and multiply that by 360. And this time, instead of dividing by 60, we're going to divide by 12. And that is because we're dividing the clock face into 12 segments for the hour. So if we save this now and we refresh, you're going to see that now it's, for me, 5:29, and you can see this is pointing at 5, this is basically 29, and whatever the seconds was. At this point, it's looks like it's about 17 or something like that. And just like what we did above with the minute hand, we want the hour hand to be some sort of incremental, right? So like if it's 5:30, basically wouldn't be pointing at 5, it would be pointing like halfway in between 5 and 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the math that we have right here, similar to what we did above. We're going to wrap this part of the equation inside of parentheses, just like we did. We're going to add this, and then we're going to add on minutes, and we need to multiply minutes. And then first we'll take 360, we'll divide it by 60. So we'll have that math happen first, and then we're going to divide that by 12. And I'll close my parentheses. And if I refresh my page, it's right about 5:30, so the hour hand is going to be right in between our 5 and 6 increment. So you can see how now our clock is pretty precise. From this part of the example, we're taking this date information, we're getting specific properties about the date, and then we're doing some math on these values so that we can translate this value into something that we can use to position the hour, minute, and second hands along our clock, and it will actually show up in a manner that is going to be accurate, which is pretty cool.